All right, guys, welcome to episode 10 of the Different Animals podcast. Just hit double fucking digits. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so today we're going to be talking about what we've been watching or playing. We're going to talk about the NFL saying that they're not allowing not allowing jersey swaps. Um, DeSean Jackson said some spicy fucking things, or retweeted some spicy fucking things. And, Kid Cudi dropped a new song on the 10th, and we're going to touch on that briefly. But first,
All right, hold on.
all right. So first, let's start with what we've been watching.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you been getting into?
Yeah. So I watched Hamilton on Disney Plus last week. It came out on I think July 3rd. July 3rd. Um, and it's the musical by Lin-Manuel Miranda about Alexander Hamilton, and it was it's a couple years old now. I think it originally ran on Broadway in 2015, and it's been touring ever since. It was here in DPAC or at the in Durham about I think 2 years ago now. Yeah, they Disney Plus, to sort of get people to sign on to their streaming service, they bought it for I think a little bit more than $70 million, and the
God
plan.
damn.
Yeah, and so the plan was originally to put it together, edit it together because so they so Lin Manuel and the original cast in 2016 they filmed I think three of their performances, and they just kind of put them in a vault.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the longest time, I was like, they should just put those on like a Fathom event, one Saturday night only, theaters across the country, and they would make so much money. And so then
Right.
Disney Plus came in and bought it for 70 mil, and the plan was before quarantine happened was to release it next October, so October 2021 in theaters, like if it was just like a normal movie. And the reason they did that was because even though it's you saw this year that it's easier just to edit it together is because I'm guessing they wanted people to still go to the shows, which I think is dumb because I think people are going to go to the shows if the shows are available. I don't think a movie's
Right.
going to deter them from that. It's not the same thing, It's not like going to the movies and watching it at home. It's a different experience. Um,
Right. Stadiums still fill out fucking seats, even though they broadcast their games.
right, exactly. And I think I don't know. I always thought that was dumb. People would be like, "Well, how? I think they're not going to go, go see the movie. They're not going to go see it, at Durham Performing Arts if it's in the movie theater." I'm like, no, it's different things, which is interesting, and I'll get into in just a minute. But and so I watched it, and it was fantastic. It was as good as everybody says. The performances are all great. The music's really great, and actually, I think the music is uh, so good, comes at you so fast that I actually had to pause about 5 minutes in, and I turned on my subtitles, which I never do. I never watch movies with subtitles the first time I watch them, but I had to just because I was like, well, I can't, like for me, I can't watch a musical because for me, like, I can't just listen to a musical. Like, I can't just like be like, oh, this is the same, and like I can imagine it. I have to see it. Like, if I just put on a musical and I haven't seen it before, like it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it's just music. Like, I can't mentally visualize it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same way.
Yeah, and so but it was fantastic. It's a little bit under 3 hours, but it's totally worth it. Like I said, everything's about it's great. I think the movie aspect of it, like the quote movie part of it, I think really helps it because I think there's close-ups that I just don't think you get in a movie theater or in a you know
In the theater.
in a theater, especially if you're not like in the first 3 or 4 rows. Like there's parts in this where it's like the close-up is like a movie close-up. It's like right in their face and you can see they're singing. You can see like a little bit of spit or something if they get like if they have it if they're going on for a big solo. You can see like a little bit of a drool, a little bit of a spit. And then there's like cuts like in a movie, which I think help it because there's one part where like a character early on it's not a big spoiler, but early on does like a sort of rewind moment where they turn back time to show a part that just happened from their perspective.
Right.
And there's like quick cuts, just like in a movie, and it's sort of you go, oh, like the cuts which help amplify in a movie is helping amplify this musical. So it's not something that you would get in a normal theater.
Right. I think a good example of that is I actually finished one thing I watched, and not to interrupt, but I finished Middle Ditch and Swords. There's three 1-hour specials.
Yes, yeah.
And it's an improv show in a theater that obviously has to have been recorded before any of what's going on was going on because of the sheer amount of people in the theater. But they do, like, it's the same thing. It's like when you watch a comedy special on Netflix. I don't know how often you do or if you do, but like,
yeah, I used to,
sometimes it zooms in on the guy telling the joke, which is, it's different in a comedy special. But like for something like improv, like they are expressing and like, making facial expressions to each other to like signify certain things.
Right.
And it's like, I don't know how you would do that if you were in like the back row of the upper stands.
Right.
Like, it just wouldn't work the same. You know what I mean? I think it's a double-edged sword because if you go there in person, you can only get bad seats. Like you maybe don't see it as well, but you still get like, there's just something about, for example, maybe not, this doesn't translate the same way, but I still think it translates for your example, which is that like for a comedy special or improv, like being in a theater full of people laughing is just, you're in a better mood. You know what I mean? Like there's no real way to put it.
It's like being in a stadium.
Yeah. Just like being in a stadium for a game is like more intense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In a theater for a show has got to be more like, I don't know the word, but you've just got to be more immersive. That's what I'm going to say. It's more immersive, but I think there are some things that shine through better in, an edited camera thing as opposed to live.
Yeah, and that's why, like I was saying earlier, that's why I think it's so dumb for people to think that they're easily replaceable. Like it's like an easy swap, like Indiana Jones. You can just take the fucking idol and you can put sand on, and it's the exact same thing. It's not. Right. And I think you get, the main entertainment is the same, but the way you take it in, the way you experience it, is not the same. Like I would never not go see Hamilton here in Durham just because it's on Disney Plus, right? Even if it's not Lin-Manuel Miranda and Daveed Diggs and everybody else.
That's another thing is that like, also it's not even the same show. Like it's different people doing the same play. I don't know if play musical. I don't know what the correct wording there is. It's different people performing the same story, and so like, I think that's another thing that's cool to see because like we were talking about with subtitles versus dubs in anime, where like you're getting another level of interpretation on top of it. So like, what you get, and it's probably not as bad because there's not a language barrier, but like people may express things in slightly different ways and they hit you different with a different cast. So it'd be cool to see, whatever cast came to your local area, you know what I mean, to perform it in theater and get a different feel, but also see them do it and then turn around and see the original people that did it.
Yeah.
So like, that's another reason why I think it makes more sense to also release it on a digital medium like Disney Plus, and then also have it available if you want to go see it live.
Right, and like seeing this performing, you see like the emotions and you see like the craft that goes into the dancing, the choreography, and everything. It sort of shows why something like the fucking Cats movie is so dumb. It's just a colossal waste of money, right? Because all you have to do for Cats is maybe you don't record it in New York, maybe you get like a massive studio, but you put on the greatest live production of Cats, and then you just film the fuck out of it. Like, you don't have to spend $150 million on CGI buttholes and CGI fur. Like the charm doesn't come from looking like real cats. The charm comes from the music and the human aspect of dancing and choreography and ballet. So, for years before, when I knew, Hamilton was a thing, I would think sort of kind of like the Cats movie or like anything else, I would think, well, man, I can't wait until they make a movie out of it. Like, I wonder who they're gonna get to make the movie version. Sorry.
Right.
And then I realize now that it's not that the best version of that story already exists. Like, it's the musical. Right.
I think so. That's one that I'm on the fence on, just because I think I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea if you want to do like a movie. Like, for example, maybe the only reason the Cats movie, the way it was done, is bad is because the CGI was pulled straight from my darkest nightmares. Like
right. In its like in its execution from the very foundation of it is just wrong. It was just like
right.
dumb.
So like maybe there's a version, like a movie version of Cats similar to what we got where it just looks better, and I'm like, that's fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like this is
yeah,
great. So I don't know that I'm hesitant to say like it's just a waste of money. Cats 100% the
yes.
biggest waste of money. They paid fucking Jason Derulo to look like
Oh my gosh,
to
dude!
look
I
like a
saw that
fucking.
movie. It was fucking terrible.
Oh
Or,
no!
oh no! It was
Oh
not.
no! You saw
I
it?
saw it in theaters. It was like it was like it, it's just bizarre. It's like everything about it is like, why did they do this? Like, why did you choose to do it this way? And then you see all these like big actors like Ian McKellen and Judi Dench and a bunch of other guys, and you're like,
You know they gotta be
what
like, oh
is
no,
that?
it'd be great to be in Cats. Like you know what I mean? They'd be like, oh my god, it'd
Right.
be so awesome if I was in Cats. And in the first cut, right, the first like edited, put together like example they see it and they've got to be like, holy shit, this was a bad idea.
Just a bad. Like, what the hell is this? Like, I know, yeah. I mean, I didn't hate. Like, I think it's so weird that you can't hate it because it's just like, what the fuck were they thinking? But yeah, I mean, I don't want to come off as I think no theatrical adaptation is bad because I do think it's so hard to access them live, and then it's hard to access them on like video. That I think sometimes the movie versions are the only versions some people get. Like growing up, the only version of Little Shop of Horrors I had was the Rick Moranis one from the 1980s with the giant plant and the puppet. And then the only version of Sweeney Todd I had growing up was the 2007 Johnny Depp one, right?
Right.
And those are my two favorite musicals. And I think the only reason I like even know them was because of the movies. So I think what I meant with Hamilton is just that the way it's structured, it like one song has like 3 or 4 scenes in it. I think
Right.
it would be almost borderline unfilmable, and the whole thing is sung. So there's no parts we can be like, well, now we're going to talk for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like one long 200 or 2 hour long song, and in it, in every chunk has like some songs, but they're more like how can I say, like like in a normal musical, right? You get like some scenes that are normal, and then people break out into dance and they do like a musical number,
Right.
and things represent bigger things. So you see like background dancers who are just background actors. They start dancing because it's like in the mind of the character, right?
Right.
That's how this is the whole time, you know. So I think
okay.
this would be borderline unfilmable. I mean, I don't even know how they could start to chew at it, but I think this version on Disney Plus is already the best version of the story that could exist as a musical, as the way it is. If they're gonna do it on film, they would have to change a bunch of it.
Right. And at that point, it would be like a music or like a movie inspired by Hamilton.
Yes,
the
inspired
musical.
by the music. Yes, exactly. Yes.
I'm definitely
So,
gonna check it out.
yeah, definitely. Dude.
I generally hate musicals, so there's a chance that when I come back for this next recording, I'm gonna be like, nah, dog, couldn't do it. Like, and that's what you know. What my best example of that is that like when oh boy, this is going to be a hot take. I don't like Tupac's music at all. Uh, shout out to the real hip hop heads out there gonna crucify me. I don't like his music at all, but I can still see where people appreciate it, and that's how I feel about musicals. Like I'm
No,
like
yeah,
I fucking hate
completely agree.
musicals.
Yep.
Like I can't get through them generally, but like I get why people like them, and I can see where one's well done, even if it's not my cup of tea. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
I feel that way about I think about most musicals, and I feel that way about some movies. I completely agree, and I think I wouldn't be lying if I said I didn't feel that way about Tupac's music as well, where I'd be like, well, I get it, I get what it was. It's just not kind of what I listen to, and weirdly enough, I don't feel that way about Biggie Smalls. Like I have a
Biggie
couple.
shit is bangers, dude.
I was gonna say like like I still listen to Big Papa and stuff, and
Yeah,
and I have like other songs on my music that still sound great, and I think they're more. I don't know why they're more accessible, but anyway, no, I completely agree. I think I feel that way about most musicals where I'm like, well, like why don't they just fucking say what they want to say? Like why are they singing it? But I can appreciate the craft, and I know when something's hard. But this one, dude, like I think if you watch it and you like, I would suggest turning on the subtitles just so you
Oh,
catch the wordplay because it's so good.
I have to watch with subtitles anyways, and there's two possible reasons, which is one that I used to have a system in my car and I always listen to my music loud. So I may have completely destroyed my hearing. And then
Yeah.
two, when you watch like a movie, what is your sound situation at home? Do you have like surround sound or
I
like
just
a
ha-
sound bar
I just
or
have a sound bar. Yeah.
okay? I have just the TV speakers. So I think sometimes like the treble gets drowned out by like, you know, any like loud bass or anything.
Mm-hmm.
So then like it's hard for me to hear. So I turn it up. But then like a fucking explosion happens and I'm like,
Just-
cool, I'm just gonna turn off this TV now.
yeah,
Like
like
I'm
they
scared.
call the
Somebody
shit.
just
Yeah.
blew my house down.
Dude, I was exactly. That's why I got a soundbar. Like at the beginning, when quarantine started, I think I was like, well, I'm gonna be fucking inside watching movies, you know, all the time now, watching shows. So I can't be listening to this shitty TV speakers, and so I invested in a soundbar, and it's been great. I mean, you know, I use it for. It sounds great on gaming. It sounded great for The Last of Us, and it sounded great for Hamilton.
Yeah. So I'll definitely check it out. I'll definitely have the subtitles on. But that'll be interesting. Real quick, just a quick answer on this one. Respecting the craft, but not really digging it as much as other people. Is that how you feel about John Wick? Because I feel like that's a good way to describe
Yes,
how you
yeah,
feel
yeah,
about
yeah.
John
I
Wick.
think yes, exactly. Yes. I was when you were explaining how you felt that way. I was like thinking about it. I was like, what are some movies? I know there's like some where I'm like I get it, but like that. Like,
There's not
you
your
know,
thing.
There's not my thing. I'm trying to think of another one. But yes, John Wick. The John Wick movies are perfect. Or the perfect version of that. Where I'm like, I get it. Like it sounds like it seems like something people love and it's awesome. And I think I would feel that way about kind of most video game, not most video games, but like online video game versions, like Fortnite, where I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Like I don't make fun of people who play it because I think it looks insanely difficult.
Yeah.
But I'm like, not my thing. I think I missed the boat on that. But like,
Yeah.
it looks like it's something that is very hard and it looks like something that you have to hone your craft or your skills to be good at.
Right. So, speaking of things where I think like it has to be kind of up your alley, but it's very well done.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished a game called Asuras Wrath that came out on PS3. Um, one of my boys that I know in New York, we were talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I'd have to find it and buy it, and then buy the DLC for it. The DLC is not expensive, but like from what I understand, like the story's not really complete without the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "I got you," and he mailed it to me. He mailed it to me and then gave me his login information so I could play it in the DLC. And so, what I'll say about this game is fuck. If you're the type of person, let me measure this back. So, the story, if I were to give it in the most bland way possible, is, I'm going to say a. Imagine God of War, right?
Right.
So God of
Mhm.
War. Did you play the first one?
I only played the 2018 version, but I remember the other
Do you
ones.
know
Though.
some of the lore? So like the reason he's got gray skin is because like the God of War Ares tricked him into killing his wife,
Yes. Oh yeah.
then their ashes got burned to his skin as an eternal mark of shame.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like that same kind of idea, which is that this dude is like a demigod at this point. The guy you're about to play as, and it's the earth itself versus the people inhabiting it, and the people inhabiting it have these demigods to fight back against the earth. That's trying to whatever. There's more to it, but like so he successfully like it's like the earth attacks every so often. You know what I mean? Like every 10,000 years or whatever the fuck the time frame is. Mm-hmm. So he successfully stops it. Like he's the one most responsible for stopping it. But his daughter is like a very special, just based on her birth. You know what I mean? She's special. So his family is compromised by the other demigods who have decided that like we're just gonna have to like his family and him are just gonna have to be a casualty of how we can make our plan work and save the world. And so you get this dude who's betrayed and just immediately is like boiling in rage. You know what I mean? And so like if you can, it's very straightforward. So like the most generic way I can explain this is man's family is compromised, vows for revenge. So
like
like
Taken. It's like a Taken.
All right, real quick.
Taken, Man
I
on Fire.
told my friend about this. I was like, it's not a super. He was like, what do you think of the story? And I was like, I don't think it's a great story in that it's very cookie cutter and bland, but I think it's done so well. I was like, the way I want to rate this is an 8 out of 8, which is that it's not trying to be a 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
trying to be more than it is, but what it is aimed for, it has nailed. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like
I get it.
it
Yeah.
it was like it was just like it escalates so fucking much. It's so hyped the whole time. The gameplay is not like super riveting. It's like it is either a rail shooter in some sections, it is a like very generic beat 'em up in some sections, and then the rest of it's just like cutscenes happening with like quick time event, like button presses. But the quick time
Mhm.
event button presses don't really take away from being able to watch it. Like I've played some games where the quick time like events are like I can't really pay attention to what's happening on the screen because I'm too worried about hitting the
Miss
right
it.
buttons.
Yeah. It's like X, D,
Yeah.
triangle, Y, B, RB.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I don't even know what's going on.
What
Okay,
just
what's in
happened?
the end?
Yeah.
And then you think it's over, and then you get hit in the face with an axe. You're like, damn it, not gonna start all over.
Now, one thing this does well is that like the button presses are not super close together, and the button presses mimic what's happening on the screen. So like the best way I can explain it is if you have your analog sticks, he'll like do super generic anime like power up yell thing where he puts both of his arms in front of him and pulls them back. And you will put like when he puts both of his hands in front of him, you'll push both analog sticks to the out when he pulls his arms out. You know what I mean? So like
Okay.
even
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you press the button, you still are able to tell, even if you're focused on the button presses, because he does what you just did. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I always prefer that too, where
Yeah.
it's not just like push X, or
Right.
like
Yeah, it's just random commands to work. But like
Mhm.
these are always like when you throw a punch, you press the punch button. You know what I mean? So like it works. But anyways, it's just super well done, and I like it's one of those things that like I would love to recommend it to everyone, but not everyone is going to love it the way I loved it. You know what I mean? Like it was
Mhm.
done so well, but it's like a very specific lane. Now, what I
Yeah.
will say is that it's old. It's very old. I
Mhm.
want to say 2011, 2012, so 8 years. Holy fuck, 8 years. Um, so it's old, but like if you have a PS3, it's also on PlayStation Now, and it's a
Mhm.
very short game because it's mostly a cinematic experience, kinda.
Mhm.
Um, but you don't get the DLC if you play it on PS Now, which is like a PlayStation streaming service. So that would kind of hinder your whole experience. But
Okay.
if you can buy it used for a PS3, I guarantee it's not going to be expensive. And the DLC, I think, which I got for free because I had my buddy's login, I think is still very reasonably priced at this point. Um, so like if any, like just getting immersing yourself in that, if you are the type of person that can immerse yourself in that,
Mhm.
then like that's definitely something I would recommend. It's very well done.
Yeah, when you were saying you're 8 out of 8, I was like, what's like a movie where that happens? And I immediately thought of The Invisible Man, the one that just came out this year,
Right.
where it's like it's not trying to be anything more than like a very good thriller, but like it's like the perfect version of what like just like a simple thriller is,
Yeah.
right?
I
And I
think
feel
that's a
that's
good example too. Yeah.
yeah.
Like that's the thing is like I can't consciously give it a 10 because like a 10 to me is like genre bending, genre defining, like you know what I mean, like
Yeah, iconic
nailed every
characters,
aspect
like
of it.
stories that make you think about like
Right.
what you're doing, like what gameplay is, like
And
yeah.
this is like you're getting super basic gameplay. Most of it's just random button presses for quick time events, and like it's not like transformative story even, but it's like it knows exactly what it's trying to do, and it fucking nailed it, and was like, I'm going all in, and like you're
Mhm.
going so far. And then the last thing I want to say is that the last two DLCs are hilarious to me because they're lost episodes. They don't have anything to do with the story. But Asuras
Mhm.
Wrath was either made or published by Capcom. I'm not sure. And Capcom does Street Fighter, and
Yeah.
your character is like I said, a demigod that basically just punches the fuck out of everything. So like they have a crossover where he fights Ryu, and then if anybody's into fighting games, this will still be hilarious. But the next episode after you beat Ryu is Akuma, which is like just a stronger version of that like fighter in Capcom. Like his lore is that
Uh-huh.
he's never lost a fight. He's the god of combat, basically.
Mhm.
And I don't know why this took me down so much. The very first thing Akuma does when he gets there, which is like the next DLC, is he's like Asura, which is your character, Asura's
Mhm.
Wrath. He's like, Asura, you're the strongest fighter I've ever seen. Like, and like I thirst for combat. I'm the god of combat. Like, we're going to do this. And Ryu's there with them. Also, they're on the moon because that's how outrageous this game is. Asura hits fucking Ryu with the uppercut that takes them both to the moon. Anyways, Akuma shows up. The very first thing he does is he does like his spinning air kick. It's called a Tatsu. He does his spinning air kick and launches fucking Ryu into space. Like just gets him out of the picture. Like, we're not dealing with Ryu anymore. It's Akuma. He just like fucking whirlwinds and just fucking kicks that dude straight into space. Dude, he's gone. Like, it took me down. I was like, why'd you have to do that? Like you could just told Ryu to stay out of it. He didn't say a word to Ryu. Ryu didn't stand a chance. He didn't block it, dude. He just got launched, and it kills me every time.
That's awesome. Yeah. I see. I don't think that I think games being older, like, you look back, you're like, oh, shit, that's 8 years old. But just playing, like, Uncharted 2. Like, dude, Uncharted 2 came out in 2009. That shit looks like, I don't know if it looks as good, but it plays as good as anything now. And, like, the levels and just the design and the action and stuff is just as good as anything now. Same thing with something like BioShock. So,
right.
I think people should give this a chance and don't let, the age of something...
Absolutely, and like I said, because it's mostly a cinematic experience, yeah. I don't think you're like we talked about with the first Assassin's Creed is fucking brutal to get through because they're like all their budget went into like, how can we free run well, and then they were like, how can we make it look good, and then the rest of it was like, how are we gonna make this game?
Yes, dude, that's how Uncharted is.
Right,
it's like they kind of crack like what it is, and then they don't have enough time to
flesh everything out. And that's what the next games do. You know what I mean? The next games build on what they already figured out. This, because it's just a cinematic, they didn't put any real effort into like how it plays, how it handles. You know what I mean? They're just like, we're gonna give you bare bones combat, we're gonna give you bare bones rail shooting, but like we're going to make all of it so grand, like grandiose. That like it works for the story and you're just gonna enjoy it. So like even with the bad graphics, it like wasn't even remotely a problem for me. So again, like you said, definitely give it a chance. If you're at all the type of person that can buy into just watching that story, it's a short game, but still obviously a long version of a movie. Like it's way longer than any movie you're ever gonna watch. So don't think like, oh, I'm just gonna watch a movie. But like it's still a very short game. But I would definitely give it a shot if that's something you'd be willing to get into.
Cool. So that was Asuras Wrath?
Yeah, Asuras Wrath.
Asuras Wrath. Cool.
So the next thing I want to talk about, since we talked about one man beating the fuck out of another man, let's talk about the NFL. That was a fucking stretch, bro, but I made it happen.
Before we move on, I do want to make one quick note. If people could watch Palm Springs on Hulu, if you have Hulu, it just came out right before, or I think a couple of days before this recording. But I definitely want to talk about it next week because I think it does very interesting things with the genre that it is. So if you want to watch it, and then we could, or like you, the listener, but if you have Tyler, if you have Hulu, if you could check it out, it's 90 minutes long. I watched it just before I recorded, and I loved it. But I definitely want to talk about what it does with the genre because I think it's, or the type of movie that it is, because it's a formula that has been done with other movies, but this one does fresh things with it that I think I definitely want to hear what people think about it, and I want to touch on. But because it just came out, I want to give people time to watch it. And it's only, like I said, only 90 minutes. So, I think more movies should be 90 minutes, and I appreciated that. But
definitely. Yeah, I'll definitely. There's a chance I'll watch that before Hamilton because again, Hamilton the musical don't really know. I think Hamilton's a little long, so Palm Springs might be right in mind.
I think it's almost literally half of the length of Hamilton, so and then, it's easier to squeeze in. But back to the NFL.
All right, the NFL, we got a two-parter because we got one dude being a psychopath, and we got another rule. So let's touch on the rule first because I feel like this is going to be a little shorter, clean cut and dry, which is that. The rule is that the NFL is not allowing jersey swaps, which is a thing that players do for reasons I've never really understood. Like, I get it, it's cool, but like, here's the deal. I thought it was cool when people were like if so-and-so's, it's their last season, or like near the end of the career, like, oh, I'm going to swap jerseys with Tom Brady. You know what I mean? That's cool. Yes. But then when like, dudes are like, I'm just going to swap jerseys with, like, the number one wide receiver on the fucking Colts.
Yeah. And Byron like, Jones is going to switch with T.Y. Hilton. Yeah,
it's like, oh, cool, I guess.
Cool, okay, yeah. I mean, this came from, like, soccer, right? In Europe, I think, right? Isn't that where it came from?
Maybe. I know the NBA does it, too. I don't know where it originated, but, like, players in the NBA have definitely swapped jerseys before. But, like, I don't know where it originated from. But either way, people are swapping jerseys all the fucking time now, way over the top. But the rule is that they're no longer allowed to do that because of the coronavirus restrictions going on. And there's two sides to this from what I've seen. I'm probably going to lose a little nuance, but I don't think there's a whole lot to be had here, which is that, like, the side is, like, they're already tackling each other, bleeding on each other, sweating on each other, whatever.
Sometimes pissing on each other.
Yeah, pissing and shitting. Shout out to Booger
Mark
McFarlane.
Schlereth.
Oh, wait, Mark Schlereth?
Mark Schlereth, yeah, he was on the line. He's like, I just let it go, man.
I think Booger McFarlane said he did the same thing.
Oh, yeah, I think all linemen, they just, like, let everything
dude, I shit my pants in the middle of it. Like, gross.
Shout out to Paul Pierce.
Yeah, shout out to Paul Pierce shitting himself in shorts. Not pants, shorts, dude.
In white shorts.
Woo! Alright, so... alright. So, I think all that's going on. So, like, why are you going to put this rule on about swapping jerseys? Like, who cares? You know what I mean? If transmission was going to happen anyways, it was going to happen. You know what I mean? And the other side is that, like, what if there's an off chance that you wouldn't have gotten it on the field? How stupid is it to just take another unnecessary risk and, like, have someone's jersey that has their spit and fucking sweat and shit all over it?
Right. I would touch it like a dirty sign, like P.U. Thank you.
Yeah.
No. I agree. Yeah. That makes total sense to me. Like, I'm like, well, why would you do that? Like, I would literally, like, if I was an NFL player, I would just literally go out there, do it, and then I would fucking sprint back and, like, be like, all right, that was it. I did
just
my
avoiding
job.
your own teammates,
you know why I'm
just
here.
fucking slithering and, like, past all of them into the shower and then out, like.
Hitting spin moves on somebody trying to give me a high five.
Fuck the shower, dude. Some dudes still in pads, like, jumping into their vehicle and driving off. Like, I'm good.
Just imagine fucking, like, a guy with his pads up, he can't even see.
Yeah, he has to roll down the window so his arm can hang out.
Yeah, I mean...
Still got the visor in the middle of the night. Like, got the visor.
Yeah. Like LT.
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, I think you're right. I think both of these are you kind of go, wait, what? Like, like, why would you be swapping them to begin with? Like, wouldn't you want to, as soon as the game ends, like we said, just go home? Right. And then also, the NFL making a rule for this is dumb, but I also think it's sort of emblematic or something. It's sort of...
I think it's optics.
It's optics, but I also think it's like... It's a microcosm of the whole thing, which is...
Why the fuck are we playing?
Why the fuck are we playing, right? So it's like a microcosm of, like... I don't know if you saw, like, Disney World open and they had this video where, like, they had employees with masks be like, it's safe, come back and see Mickey. And it's like, no, you're just putting this, like, little PR solution to the bigger problem. The bigger problem isn't that Mickey and fucking Minnie aren't wearing masks. The problem is that people are there to begin with.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like this with the NFL. It's like the problem isn't the jersey swaps. And you're making this rule about jersey swaps and making a big thing when you don't realize that the thing that's putting people in danger is... you putting them there is you making the players play the game.
At least I agree completely, but, like, my logic is, I guess, would still be in this specific scenario, if we're talking about this rule specifically, which is that, like, not playing the games has financial ramifications. Telling people to not swap jerseys, like, just grow the fuck up and don't swap a jersey. You know what I mean? So it's like...
like, don't make a rule. Just be like, hey, guys, don't swap the jersey. And just expect them to be smart and not do that.
Well, I think you have to make the rule just for optics, if nothing else, because nobody's going to be smart and not swap jerseys, dude. People won't put on a fucking mask for 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're right.
So it's like, just fucking tell them not to swap the jerseys. It's fine. People that are like, why are you going to tell them not to swap the jerseys, like, when you're going to have the game anyway? I totally get where they're coming from, but like I said, like, if we don't play the game, there's financial ramifications for the players, the teams, you know what I mean? Everyone.
True.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, no, go ahead.
Yeah, there's financial ramifications. If you don't swap a jersey, like, you'll just get it next year. Or fucking mail it. Like, just don't do it on the field in front of everyone while posing for a picture. Just do it, you know, on your own time. Preferably don't fucking do it. But, like, just don't do it. Like, I guess the rule is don't do it, but, like, it's not like they're going to catch someone fucking in the parking lot, like, doing a jersey swap. You know what I mean? But it's just like...
yeah, right.
If you're going to do it, you're going to be an asshole about it anyways. Just fucking do it. But, like, the rule is don't.
Yeah. Like, yeah, like, well, I guess you're right. I guess, yeah. Because then if you don't make it a rule, and if somebody does it, then you can't shame them into doing it. Be like, because then if you put the rule and somebody does it, you can be like, come on, man, the rule's there for a reason. Like,
Right.
like, come on, think.
Which is what I thought was going to happen
Yeah.
when the governor of North Carolina released a mask mandate, but everyone's a fucking dickhead. This is my hill. Wear a fucking mask. That's all I ask. Just wear a fucking mask.
Yeah. Like, now it's like that's like the bare minimum. It's like,
Right? You can't be open businesses and also anti-mask. Then you're just an asshole. Like,
Yeah. right. Right. You're just setting, lambs to the slaughter. Or, right? Like, you just gotta, if this is gonna happen and we're gonna move forward with not shutting everything down for like 3 or 4 weeks, then at least do what you can and just.
Right. There's no cost. Bro, like, the masks are not expensive. Your cost is that, like, bro, I wear glasses, my shit fogs up all the time. I have more of a cost than anybody else. Like, unless you have asthma. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But, like, your average fucking person, I am more frustrated by the mask because it fogs up my fucking glasses and I can't
literally
see.
go,
Yeah, and the answer...
it's not, yeah.
And the answer is, just wear a fucking mask. So,
Exactly.
going from one set of asshole... Oh, do you have something to add?
No, that was it. Just basically, like, it's dumb both to even consider that and then also dumb to make the rule because, like, you put them there. So, like...
Right. I think it's dumb all around, but, like,
Yeah.
fuck it, just whatever. Like, make the rule, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's dumb all around, but honestly, the NFL having the season is dumb. But,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So, but anyways, going from one group of assholes to a one singular asshole is DeSean Jackson. Does he still... Is he with the... I don't know what the fuck his deal is. He always jumps around. I feel like he's not in the league half the time. Sometimes he is. Like...
He's with the Eagles. He's been on, like, he was with the Redskins. And then he was with, I think, Tampa Bay.
Wasn't there a suspension somewhere? I feel like...
Or maybe he retired. See, like, he's like one of those guys. It's like, is he still in there? Like, I guess. Like,
Yeah, he's Vince Carter with a bad reputation.
yes, yeah. He's like a Vince Carter, and he's the exact same way with Vince Carter, where like so this week he posted some things on his Instagram story that were anti-Semitic. He quoted Hitler, and then
Wait, DeSean Jackson, right? Not Vince Carter.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, what?
Yeah, VC did not do that.
So you have to take down anything with his name on it in North Carolina.
Oh my gosh, yeah. But so DeSean Jackson does this, and then I think and I was telling Tyler right before we recorded, I was like, I haven't really been following it. Like, I sort of assumed that this would happen, right? He would quote him for whatever fucking dumb reason.
Oh, dude, this is my favorite part. But continue.
He would apologize, like, sincerely, and then more than likely the Eagles would cut him. But it appears that he didn't apologize as sincerely, or maybe
I think he
wasn't as clear about it.
No, I think he apologized. So here's all right. Let's break this down from the beginning. So from what I understand is that Farrakhan made a speech. Louis Farrakhan made a July 4th speech, and so as a white person, my knowledge of Farrakhan is that, like, he's definitely very pro Black African American, whatever. Like, he's a lot of militant people of African Americans would find themselves towards Farrakhan. I think
Yes.
So with all that being said, I feel like I've always heard the name Farrakhan and thought it was pretty controversial, dicey, racy. And
Yes.
I wasn't sure if
And I
that was
think,
just because, like, I'm white, so white people naturally, like the general thought process of a white person is going to be like, ooh, Malcolm X, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Versus, like, so I was like, I wasn't sure if that's what it was. But anyways, Farrakhan had this fucking speech, and I think he quoted a book. And DeSean Jackson found that book and was going through it, and he highlighted a quote and posted a picture of the quote. And the quote is attributed to Hitler. First of all, hold on. So one of the defenses for him posting this is that, like, the attribution of this quote to Hitler is, like, suspect. Like, the chances that Hitler actually said this are, like, very low. You know what I mean? Like, this quote was said by someone else, but in this book, because it has bad, research or whatever behind it, like, probably wasn't actually Hitler. But my problem with that is he still posted it thinking it was Hitler.
Right.
Whether it was actually him or not, it says fucking dash Hitler in bold underneath. I don't care if Hitler himself was like, raise taxes on the rich. Like, that would not be the quote I post online.
Never. Dude, like, if I ever post on my Instagram story anything that says dash Hitler, like, as a quote, you come over and just, like, beat the shit out of me because I have become
Nah, dude,
a Nazi
you're being held
overnight or
hostage.
something. I was being held hostage. I'm a zombie now. Like, something's happened. Something
Yeah, I'm gonna
dearly has
walk
happened
over to your house. You're gonna be fucking tied to a fucking chair with your eyes fucking peeled open like fucking Clockwork Orange, and fucking Tucker Carlson is gonna be on your fucking TV, dude.
Yeah, dude, and not only that, look, dude, like, even if people go, well, it wasn't really a Hitler quote, it's just kind of
He thought it was Hitler.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like, even if that was the case, if there was any sentence ever that was even mildly attributed to Hitler, like, I love eating pickle sandwiches, and if people even thought he said that, I would never say that in my life. I would be like, I hate pickle sandwiches, dude. I don't even want those words in that sentence.
Even if you liked pickle sandwiches, find someone else that liked pickle sandwiches.
Exactly. But the point is, you shouldn't, because all of it is anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
the overwhelming message was anti-Semitism, and it's just fucking insane. Like, how are you going to tweet something attributed to Hitler, even if you're anti-Semitic? Is that how that would? Okay.
Yeah, anti-Semitic.
Even if you're anti-Semitic, just don't post the fucking Hitler quote.
Yeah,
Mel Gibson is anti-Semitic. I don't know that he's posted Hitler quotes. Like, I'm not saying he's even good. I'm not saying he hit it. But, like, even him, as outwardly anti-Semitic as he is, wasn't out here, like, posting Hitler quotes socially.
Right. This is like another classic NFL. It's another double dumb one, right? Like, just like what we were talking about. It's like, it's dumb that he was quoting him, but then it's also double dumb that you don't go, wait, this is anti-Semitic to, like, right? Like, the source of the dumbness isn't it is the quote, but it's also the fact that it's anti-Semitism, right? Like, that's the thing. It's like a double dumb.
That's
it's
the
like
thing.
A dumb
It's like, so the anti-Semitism is, like, terrible, obviously. But, like, even if you are brainwashed or like, you've heard enough, and even if you generally feel that way, there's another layer of dumb where on your public platform where millions of people can follow you, you're like, I'm gonna post this Hitler quote. Like, it's just insane. And then what makes it even more insane is DeSean Jackson in the NBA, who's done so much for the his organized and protested for the Black Lives Matter music, came out in defense. He came out in defense of DeSean Jackson's stance. He's like, haven't you heard of the Rothschilds? They own all the banks.
Oh, it's like, oh my god. It's like,
why did you have to say that? Why does everyone feel the need to just fucking, what is wrong with you?
Exactly. But the craziest thing is that, for, like, I didn't even know he was that good to not be cut immediately. Right? Like, for me, like DeSean, like, if this was DeAndre Hopkins, I would be like, okay, like, look, like, it's fucked up that they're keeping him on the roster, but it makes disgusting sense that he is. But DeSean Jackson, I mean, he's like, he came in 2008. He's been in the league at least 12 years. So he's at least like 34 or 35 years old, right?
Right.
And so, like, is he worth this? But I guess, I think at this point, by the time we're recording, it's sort of kind of calmed down a little bit. And
he's
I think
deep
he'll
threat,
be on the team. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it drops it right when he gets to the 1 yard line. But, I think he's still going to be on the Eagles. I think they're not going to cut him. But it's just a whole bunch of dumbness from the NFL, again, for like the 1,000th week in a row.
Oh, and sorry, one thing I skipped out on was that, like, he came out and issued an apology, and he was like, it's like, it kind of sounded like his apology kind of pled ignorance, which is like, I'm iffy on that specifically with this, because on the one hand, like, I don't think, I'm going to say this, come from my head if you did, but, like, I also don't have the quote in front of me. I feel like I remember seeing it and thinking, like, this is definitely anti-Semitic, but it's not, like, super anti-Semitic on the face. You know what I mean? but then also it's attributed to Hitler. So like it's kind of hard to plead ignorance when it says Hitler right there and everyone
Right.
knows who he is. But like if it was just the message, I could be like I could see why maybe you didn't realize. You know what I mean? Like and that's one level of like I posted this, I kind of agreed with it, but it was brought to my attention that it was anti-Semitic, and so it sounded like he was like, I'm gonna go out and try and expand my worldview, blah blah blah. Which is like half the time it's that just feels like a cop out, and sometimes it feels like people sincerely like maybe didn't get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that one is like I was iffy on that. Part of me again is like kind of feels like a cop out because again you saw it said Hitler. He fucking highlighted it and was like posting that.
Right. Like you knew, right? Like
Right,
it's like the classic, like either you knew what it was and you didn't care, which is bad, or
right,
you were too dumb to know, which is also bad.
right. But
Yeah, I mean,
at least if you're too dumb to know, which is also bad, and you come out and say like I was too dumb, I'll be smarter. Like at least like the argument is that like he saw the problem and is now attempting to fix it. But
right.
what killed me is he came out with that apology, right? And then Steven Jackson was like, "Nah, like
No, he meant what he meant.
So, can you imagine, bro? Have you ever been in the middle of a conversation or argument or debate, right? And you're like having this conversation, and then somebody who you think is just wrong on like 99% of everything comes in and he's like, "Yeah, you're right," and you're like, "Well, now I got to rethink everything."
Hmm.
Like that had to be what happened. Like that, like had to be almost the same feeling with DeSean Jackson, where it's like that dude. Steven Jackson was like, "Nah, you're right," and you're like, "Dude, I was trying to back away from this stance. Like, why are
Yeah.
you here trying to help me out right now? Like
Like I
why?
don't need this right now.
Yeah, I don't need you specifically. Like
No, yeah.
this. I was trying to recover, and you came in and doubled down for me. Like, please
Right.
don't."
Right. Like I think this. Yeah. No. Yeah. I totally agree, and I think I do hope that he is taking steps to fix sort of that those point of views or that those stances. I mean, although it's kind of one of those things. It's like at his big age of 35, he shouldn't be told these things. Like he should have already known this, and it's not up to the people who are Jewish to tell you, hey, we are people too, right?
Right.
But it
Absolutely.
reminds me, and it reminds me of NBA player Reggie Bullock. He went to Carolina, and then I think a few years ago, his transgender sister was murdered.
Hmm.
And then like immediately afterward, he tweeted out something like, R.I.P. bro, right? Stuff misgendering her.
Oh.
And I think people were saying like, hey, like, it was your sister. Like you have to respect that's who she was. And then and he committed himself to learning, and then now he's a big proponent of LGBTQ people in the NBA, and I think he leads their Pride Parade, and he works with a lot of organizations because of that.
Another good example. I think is a good example, and another one that people can come for me on is Michael Vick, and the argument is always that like, well, Michael Vick knew it, fighting dogs was wrong, and I see where, like you should be able to tell it's wrong. You know what I mean? Like you should be able to tell that's wrong. But I give a lot of exemptions for things that like I can't relate to, and I don't know if that's a good or a bad aspect. Where it's like
Hmm.
I don't know if that just makes me easy to fool. I don't think it does because I think I can generally see through when it's legitimate or not. But like Michael Vick's case was that like he grew up around like like it's just something that was always around when you grew up. You know what I mean? And so like I wonder if a certain degree of like you don't really realize it's wrong because you've grown up with it and are numb to it. You know what I mean? So like, and even if he knew it was wrong, like at a certain point, like he has gone above and beyond, like aside from serving time. You know what I mean? Like fucking people kill people and like don't serve time. He fought dogs, which is awful morally and ethically. All of it. Like it's
Hmm.
wrong, but like he served time, and then on top of that, like was doing work, like advocating and shit like that. So it's like at a certain point, it's like whether it's genuine or not. Like at this point, I feel like you've done good. Like
Right.
the scales have tipped. Whether it's all just because you got caught, like I still think the scales kind of tipped, And again, like I think I'm willing to give an exemption that like I don't know what it would be like if I grew up where dogs were treated that way all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
that's just how I grew up. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
for what it's worth, like that happened to people. Like people in Germany, Jews were dehumanized in such a way, like it can have like on that scale. If you can look at another person and not view them as a human, like I can see where you would look at a dog and just be like, you know what I mean? Whatever, just fucking it fights. Like that's something we do with dogs. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's probably a dicey comparison I just made, but like I just about like growing up and seeing something be dehumanized. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
and that if you can be dehumanized to another person, you could definitely be dehumanized to like a dog's feelings. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
so that's
Right.
all I was going
And
with that. And that's like if you have the opportunity to change your worldview, I think the biggest thing, right, is that like the cancel culture thing that everyone bitches about, which is absurd. But like people are like, oh well, you're bringing up shit from 10 years ago. Like, why does it matter? Like, I understand that it's 10 years ago, but like, if you notice, the people who get hit hard with it are the people who like refuse to come out and make an outright apology and
yeah,
admit they
or
were
who
wrong.
admit they were wrong or admit to change.
Right, and
So
that's the
like,
thing. Like
yeah.
people that say fucked up shit and then are genuinely like, "Yeah, no, that was fucked up. Um, I, I'm not that person anymore. I take full responsibility for that." That's the thing is people be like, "I'm not that guy anymore," but then leave out like I fucked up. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's the key component is that like you admit that it was wrong. Like
Yeah.
Kevin
Or
Hart's whole thing is like that was so long ago and it was a good joke at the time, whatever. Like sure, but like why are you trying so hard to not just say you were wrong?
you were wrong, and this is how it made people feel, and this is what you're gonna do to
Right,
change.
like
And
even if you're the type of person
yeah.
that says like I don't apologize for jokes, which I think is one of Chris Rock's stances. It's like I don't apologize for jokes. They're jokes. Like you can still say like I don't apologize for jokes, but like that that viewpoint is wrong. You know what I mean? Like you can say like it was a good joke at the time, but like looking back that is wrong and I was wrong for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like and I don't think people would come for you as hard. And so
Right.
like that's the thing is that like if you're the type of person in DeSean Jackson's case that literally is like I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like cancel culture is gonna come for that man, which is again absurd because cancel culture has never amounted to anyone's fucking career being taken away. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What gets your
Right.
career taken away is either A, the fucked up shit you did, or like
Yeah.
it's
Like
not the people saying he did fucked up shit. Um it's just like if you're willing to say like I made a mistake, I'm going to learn from it. People can hate you right now, but then if you turn around or like in Reggie Bullock's case, like he said R.I.P. bro, people were like that's you can't do that, you misgendered her. That's a problem. Then like you can turn around and say like I didn't realize that was such of a big deal. I was wrong to do that and I'm going to look and then he has actively done work for that community. You know what I mean?
right.
And that's why
Exactly.
people don't that's why people don't bring up that he's against transgender whatever his name comes up. You know what I mean? That's
Mm-hmm.
why cancel culture didn't get him is because he admitted he was wrong and grew from it.
Right.
And that's all
Exactly.
anybody ever asks for. Like, that's
Exactly.
the
And that's
thing.
what.
It's like also like for what it's worth, like I I got into Chris D'Elia's stand up before that whole fucking thing blew up. Like I
Mhm.
got into it literally like a month and I was like super into it. And then like that shit happened and it was like funny because people were like, this fucking cancel culture coming for dudes, like blah blah blah. And it's like it's not like I would prefer to keep watching this dude I enjoy watching. Do you get what I'm saying? Like people are
Mhm.
like, cancel culture coming for comedians. I would prefer for my favorite comedians to just not be shitty. Like I would prefer to still enjoy their comedy.
Yeah.
But if they're gonna be pieces of shit, then I'm just not gonna support it. It's not a
Right.
matter of
Exactly.
cancel culture because we want to cancel someone. You know what I mean?
Right.
I would
It's because he
love
did
to
something.
listen
Yeah.
to Kanye's music, but he's a fucking psycho and I can't support it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how I felt, when Louis C.K., when the shit came out about him. Like, he was my favorite stand-up comedian. I mean, one of his specials, I remember laughing until, like I couldn't breathe, like, until I had tears in my eyes. But then, you go, oh, this person's a piece of shit. I can, in no good conscience, still listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the way it goes. Like, it's not that he wasn't canceled because people say don't listen to him. I don't listen to him because he did fucked up shit to women.
Right.
And so it's like,
and I need to look up
that's
stuff
why.
and stuff. I feel like Louis C.K. came out and was like very apologetic, and then he dropped off the face for like a very long time, and he's starting to
Yes.
come back. So before I make a
Yeah.
commitment of whether I can watch this stuff again, I need to look and see like if he's actually done anything or like it. You know what I mean? I need to
Yeah.
see that kind of thing. But again, that's not me canceling him. That's just me feeling like I can't support someone who's a piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit.
Which I
It's
feel
like
like
that-
is a very fair fucking. I feel like that's a good way to go through life.
Yeah. It's like that tweet though. It's like that's like, well, if it isn't the consequences to my actions. It's like, yeah, like that's how it works.
Yeah, exactly. Also, like, god damn it, dude. We're gonna fucking go on about this forever, but like, people are like, you can't fucking censor like when fucking Milo fucking
The Nazi. Yeah,
Opolis,
Milo the Nazi.
fucking
Yeah.
Milo Metropolis was out here fucking like trying to talk at like colleges, and they're like, we're like, there's protests, like we're gonna cancel him speaking. People are like, oh, it's censorship. It's like, no, the college doesn't have to let this man speak. No one is stopping him from speaking. He can speak to one dude on the corner, but like, it's not censorship if I don't want you to piss off everyone at my school. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's not
And to say shit that dehumanizes
I don't
people.
have to
and...
give you a stage. Even if it's something minor. Even if the dude was like, fuck Stanford, right? And then 5 years later, they're like, we don't want you on our stage because you said fuck Stanford. That's not censorship. That's just like, you said a thing, so now we are reacting to it. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you aren't entitled to come onto this stage and give a commencement speech. That's not
Right.
part of it. You are allowed free speech. Same thing, like fucking Richard Spencer getting fucking rocked in the side of the head. People are like, oh, that's wrong because it's censorship. No, because he was still allowed to say whatever racist Nazi shit he had. And the dude that punched him got in trouble. So, like, that is all operating as intended.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
like he was able to speak freely. This person went to jail. But, like, if you say that shit, you might get punched in the head. Like,
yeah, exactly. You will get punched in the head. Like, you
Those
could
are
be a
the
Nazi, but
consequences
know
of
that
your free
a Nazi
speech.
punch is coming if you say Nazi shit.
Right.
Like, that's just the way it is.
And,
like,
and
you know.
the fact that that person got in trouble is also fair. Like, if that dude punches a fucking Nazi in the side of the head, you know, it's like, I'm glad it got punched, and they're like, that dude went to jail though, or like got arrested or got a charge of something. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's I agree with what he did, but like, yeah, those are the rules. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you punch someone in the face, you get in trouble. Like, I get it. That's the thing is I'm not saying people should just be able to like rock people and then just walk away all the time. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
Unless
there
you punch a Nazi.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel bad about it if he did get away. That's like, but if he gets arrested, I can't in good conscience be like, it shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just,
At worst, what he should get is that SpongeBob, where they go to jail for blowing something up.
Yeah,
or some
and
shit.
then they just fucking
and they
let him
like
back
they
out.
close the gate and they're like, all right, that was it. All right, you're free. You served your term.
yeah. So either way, that's my thing is that like cancel culture, all of that is like just. You have the right to free speech, and that's why you were allowed to say the things you said. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But also, if everyone's like, fuck what you said, they're allowed to do that too. So, like, there's no such, like, it's all made up. Anyways, DeSean Jackson may or may not be the recipient of some cancel culture. Let's see what he does. But the man knowingly fucking posted a picture that was may or may not have actually been said, but was 100% attributed to Hitler.
And typed, you know, he put in his phone -space HI.
Well, no, that's the thing is he didn't. It's I don't know if it's worse or better. He didn't type it up. He took a picture of it in the book with it highlighted.
Oh,
Like he posted a picture of that passage in the book, but it says -Hitler. Like it's on the screen. Like you know what I mean? Like he took the.
Like I said, this whole week, like I said, this whole week is just NFL being just dumb and like not seeing the bigger problem of it.
Right. So, shout out to y'all being dumb. So, the last thing I want to touch on before we hop out of here, because I think we're running up on the time here, is that like I said, Kid Cudi dropped a new song on July 10th. He has a song with Travis Scott called "The Scots," which I've heard a couple times, but I don't really remember it super well because it was just kind of playing in the background.
Yeah, same.
And then he tweeted out, like, I can't remember if there are any words with it, but basically he tweeted out like 7.10.20. And I was like, is he dropping an album? Because I feel like that's like ominous, I'm going to drop an album tweet. And then it turned out to just be a song with Eminem, who we have talked shit about repeatedly. So before we get into the song, it's funny because I recently at work was just like listening to a lot of Kid Cudi, and it's funny because my playlist, as I've mentioned, is all like aggressive, fast shit, which doesn't fit Kid Cudi at all. For whatever reason, I was like, I like actively sought it. I almost forgot he existed. You know what I mean? But like, I actively sought it out and was like, oh shit, like I need to listen to this music more. And so like, basically, my rotation was Man on the Moon 2, and Indicud. Indicud's even a little iffy. But my man went off the fucking rails when he fucking put out Speeding Bullet to Heaven. That shit was garbage. And then he put out an album that has maybe my favorite title for an album ever. Do you know what it is?
I don't.
Okay, I wish this album would have been great. I heard it wasn't good. I wish it would have been great because it would have been so dope when someone asks what your favorite album is to be like, my favorite album is Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying. That is such a fresh name, and that album is so bad. From what I've heard.
That should be a future topic, best album titles.
Yeah, exactly. That might be on there, even with the album being bad. And the photo is of like him kind of like leaning back and like this like sexy kind of pose, like from the waist up, with like a button-up shirt like completely open, and so it's just like his abs, and it's on like bright, like it's a black background, and he is like bright neon purple. Wait,
I have seen that cover. Yeah, I've seen that cover.
Yeah, but it's called Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying, which is fresh. But anyway, so then I was like, a new album's coming out. I had heard the Scots. Don't really remember it because it was just not in the background, but it sounded more like normal music I would listen to. Which is like, what's weird is Kid Cudi's always had a very distinct like sound and style and feel to his music. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Man on the Moon 2, Man on the Moon, and to a certain degree Indicud, like all kind of like you feel a specific way. Like when you're in the mood for Cudi, you're in the mood for Cudi specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So like again, it was playing in the background. I was like, this kind of sounds more like some normal shit. Like whether I could attribute to like normal for him or just normal, either way, I was like, at least it's not Speeding Bullet to Heaven grunge music. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I heard that, and then the song came out with Eminem, and like on YouTube, it is getting fucking just so much love, dude. Like people are lapping it up. Like, oh, this song's the greatest. The song's got such. Like people are like, oh, you don't get the bar. It's like it's going over your head. It's so legit. And I listened to it, and I've never been so disappointed after like hoping for someone's return. Like, and then hearing that song, I was so disappointed. Have you listened to it?
Yes, I listened to it. Yeah, I felt the same way. I was like, I mean, like this is okay, but it's like with Kid Cudi, which I think it's so weird because literally with nobody else, like literally no other artist that I've been listening to as long as I have with him since like mid high school. He's the only one where like he puts out new music and I'm like, I don't know if it's me or the music, but I'm just not feeling it like I should. And it's just weird because so I don't know if I mentioned it on here before, but like so I used to be listening to hip hop a lot in middle school. But back then it was that, sort of mid 2000s southern crunk hip hop,
Right.
like D4L, like that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Right. And then I kind of sort of veered away from it late middle school, early to mid high school, and I was kind of like, I don't really even remember what music I was listening to, because back then we didn't have Spotify, so it's
Right.
like you just kind of had to find your ways to find music. And then I remember very, very vividly the summer before my junior year, I listened to Best I Ever Had and Day and Night. And both of those were hip hop, but they sounded so different to anything I'd ever listened to before.
Right.
And I was like, what is this? This sounds completely different. And then both of them ended up being ended up doing my soundtracks to, the rest of high school and, the first half of college. And then Cudi just kind of disappeared from that, whereas Drake has stayed ever since then, right?
Right.
And so then
But it's
now
still
I'm the same as
different.
you.
Like they're still
Yes,
different
it's
than they
still
were.
different.
Like Drake is like a different Drake now is like just like I'm doing is making. He makes pop music for what you know what I mean. Like it's rap,
Yes.
but it's like all the music he makes is meant to be on like a popular music channel. You know what I mean? Like a pop music channel. Like it's made to just be a hit single for everyone. Whereas like and then like Kid Cudi was like I like had this specific feel and mood and everything, and then he just kind of like fell out of it, and like all of a sudden was like the thing is like the Speeding Bullet to Heaven, which is like grunge, like trying to take it back to like grunge rock, is that like it would be one thing if he went to grunge rock and it just wasn't my thing, which it's not. But like also from what I've heard, everyone's like, oh, it's bad grunge rock too. Like it's not even good grunge rock. You know what I mean? Like it's just bad.
You know what? The closest thing I feel like to this.
I just thought of an
so
example.
Weird.
Go ahead.
I guess it's a lot more complicated because, like for me, like when an artist switches up their style, I appreciate it or like I like it because it changes up.
For
like
what
Kanye West.
Yeah, I was about to say for what it's worth, like Kanye West, old Kanye West is probably our favorite, both of our favorite artists. I would think to say, and like College Dropout and Late Registration are like a specific style, but then Graduation's completely different. Then 808s is completely different. Then My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is completely different. Then Yeezus. Like those are all very distinct style changes, and you can hear them, but he nails them, and that's what's important. Like if you're gonna switch the style, you better fucking nail it.
Right, and another one that fits that way, where it would be for me, you know, years ago, would be something like Linkin Park, where their first two albums are very that new metal sort of hip hop mixed with heavy rock, a lot of fast raps, and then around their third album, which I think was Minutes to Midnight, they veered away from that and they became more of like a normal rock band, right? And that's when I stopped listening. But I've heard it's good, but that's one of those things that's like the sound changed, but I didn't go with it. Whereas other acts, the sound changes and I do go with it.
Right.
But maybe with Kid Cudi, that was like the thing where like the sound and the mood and what he had in albums 1 and 2, and even like you said, some of 3, which I feel the exact same way about, are just what I liked. And then when he switched, I just didn't like the new stuff.
Right. And for what it's worth, Kid See Ghost, there's a couple tracks on there where I feel like he kind of like he channels some of that like he does in Indica, where like he kind of gets it like Reborn for me. Like I kind of get that feeling when I hear Reborn that it kind of is like old Cudi. But anyways, this new one is totally not old Cudi. For what it's worth, Cudi, as depressed and like moody as he was, would have never said this line I'm about to tell you. And when I heard it, I was like, that's just so fucking like not him, and also not like growth either. Like it just he says, hold on. He says, see a black Benz pull up with some Johns. Yeah, I need that. Bro.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about right now? And Eminem...
You're not from Philly. You're from Cleveland. What is this?
And then Eminem comes in, does Eminem shit where like everyone's like, oh, he's fucking going so hard. Because he does like a super generic punchline. Like he says like something like Medusa, because that's how you get ahead of snakes. Okay, like sure, okay. I get it. Medusa, head of snakes, get ahead of snakes. I get it. It's not that deep. It's not that great. But everyone's fucking giving him the dick flute solo, and acting like it's great.
Yeah, I probably like I've never been super into Eminem, so I like most of them. I'm just like I like Without Me, and I like a song here or there. But yeah, Kid Cudi's like, for me. Shit, I forgot what I was going to say about him. Oh, right. So I went to his concert, I think 3 or 4 years ago. And so he does like all the good ones, Cudi Zone, Pursuit of Happiness. And then he starts doing some of the like newer ones. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go get a beer, use the bathroom real quick. And,
So.
But it's so weird because I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's just me. Like, the songs just do not click.
Also,
it is like Teflon with me.
Like, Tyler, the Creator, like I said, like his old shit was just straight up like. Just like shock value, just angry shit. And like you weren't into that, but I was. But then he like is no longer even remotely in that zone, and I'm still into it. Like something I don't know what the key ingredient that's missing is. You know what I mean? Like I don't know why for like you said, Linkin Park, like you just didn't go with it. But you've heard it's good. So I don't know what the key ingredient is that like sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
And like what he's missing.
But like Kid Cudi's is definitely not working.
Yeah, it's weird because there's artists whose style changes a lot, and I like it, like Kanye West. There's artists whose style doesn't change a lot, like Drake and Travis Scott. There's artists who sort of change the sound up a little bit, or maybe they get somebody like Pharrell to come in, like Ariana Grande,
Right.
and the switch between albums I appreciate. And then I just don't know. Like I guess what I'm saying is that you have to be very good always.
Yeah.
For it to click, you know. And there's people who change it up for the better, like Tyler Creator, who it works. And there's some people who switch it up, not for the better, or at least not for something that I like Linkin Park, and then I back off.
Right.
But then I don't know what it is about Cudi, where like I think the last song I appreciated from him was like 5 years ago, where it stuck with me.
Right. So the last thing I'm going to touch on, because it's still about Kid Cudi, so we're not going off topic yet, which is that I sent you a video that's one of my favorite videos on the internet.
Yeah.
Because you said you went to a concert, and this apparently happened at a Kid Cudi concert. And I'm going to post this video on my Twitter before this episode comes out, so everyone can see it if they're interested in watching it. And I'm going to post a link. I'm sure I can post a link to that YouTube video under our YouTube video. So that way, if anybody gets to this point and wants to see the video before we talk about it, it's really short, but it's fucking great. So it's Kid Cudi on stage. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is his fucking outfit, bro. He is rocking like a knockoff Iron Man outfit. Like it is. It looks like
a Power Ranger.
Yeah, it looks like Power Rangers. Like it looks like. So first of all, on like his shoulder, he's got like the Iron Man light, like the arc light in the center of Iron Man's chest that powers his heart. He has one just kind of like on his shoulder, and I was like, first of all, what the fuck are you doing? And then secondly, like it looks like a Power Rangers budget level of like the white Avengers suits. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's what it was. Okay, dude. Because when you sent it to me and I was watching it, I was like, "This looks so familiar."
To me, it looks like a Power Rangers level budget of that, plus an Iron Man thing on his shoulder. It's
yeah. It looks like the time travel suit from Endgame. Yeah.
All right, so that's the first thing. It's ridiculous. It looks hilarious. Anyways, so then he's doing a song. I think it might be Cudi's own. So he starts dancing on stage, and like 100% Kid Cudi can't dance. After watching that, 100% positive that man can't dance. And like he's doing like this weird little like stomp thing like while he's like just kind of like grooving out. And so the dance is hilarious to me. But then a fan comes on stage from behind him, right? And what kills me is obviously somebody got in his ear and was like, there's a fan coming on stage, because he turns around before you could have ever seen the fan. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He like turns around and looks at him with the microphone in his hand. The fan comes up to him and Kid Cudi shoves him with both hands. Which, like, 100% get. Like, any fan that goes on stage unwarranted and gets, like, shoved, punched, rocked, any of it, like, you knew what it was when you walked on stage. You know what I mean? Like, right. You're not supposed to be up there. There's security. You knew what was going to happen. So, anyways, Kid Cudi shoves him, which is fine. But then he, like, shoves him again and shoves him, like, off the stage in the back, which is hilarious. But then he turns back to the crowd with the microphone stand. No, he's wearing his fucking knockoff budget cheap Avenger suit with the fucking Iron Man heart light on his shoulder. He turns to the crowd with the microphone and says, "Not on my watch." Bro, who are you? What the fuck are you talking about? Not on my watch. Bro, you're not Iron Man. You're not even a Power Ranger, dude. Not on my watch. So he turns around and says, "Not on my watch." And then he starts walking to the front and he says, "It's been 5 years." What the fuck are you talking about? What happened 5 years ago? Like,
maybe he meant like. See, I saw it and I took that as he says like it's been 5 years. Like it's been 5 years since I've been touring. You're not gonna fuck this up for me.
Has it been 5? I don't have the information.
I don't know.
And so maybe it just had been 5 years, but it's such a weird thing to push a man off stage and to turn around and be like, "Not on my watch. It's been 5 years." Like,
it's been 5 years. You're not gonna break up my
in your superhero outfit, your cheap, shitty-looking superhero outfit, right?
Yeah, dude. It reminded me of that video. It was a Vine of that guy who gets on stage. I think it's either like at a Riff Raff concert, or maybe it was Mac Miller, but he like goes up there and he like taps the rapper on the shoulder. Just wants to tap. He just touches him on the shoulder, taps him, turns around to go back off stage, and he just gets absolutely destroyed by the security guard. Have you seen that?
That happened at a Pusha T concert too. I don't know if you remember when Pusha T and Drake were having their beef. Pusha T, like, the rumor was that like Pusha T bought like the first 2 rows, or I feel like, or like bought like people up front to heckle Drake at a Drake concert, and then like that was a problem. So Drake's like the rumor is that like Drake had a guy go on stage to try and hit Pusha T or something, and Pusha T like just kind of ducks out of the way, and like 4 security guards jump on this dude and. Bro, they Dak Prescott him, dude. They're like stomping him out. They're fucking beating the shit out of him. They give him the old fucking Dak Prescott, and like it's just like when you get on stage, dude, it's coming. I don't care what happens, it's coming. Like you're getting worked.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know what it is.
You knew what it was.
You know what it is.
So like anyways, so he throws the dude off stage. Not on my watch. It's been 5 years. Hilarious.
Yeah.
But then he immediately just gets back to his shitty dancing. It kills me. And also because it's Kid Cudi, I think like the next thing he does is he's like, not on my watch. It's been 5 years. Walks to the front of the stage. Is like, and like just starts doing his shitty dancing. I was like, that dude amped up so much in his shitty Avengers outfit to like shove a dude off stage, try and say a cool ass badass line, and then like walk to the front and just did his little like fucking
his little humming thing. I think the theme of this whole episode has been just one that, like, if you could summarize everything that we've talked about, it's literally all been just you knew what it was when you signed up.
Yeah, you knew what it was when you signed up. Yes, dude, exactly. Oh boy. All right, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna post that video for anyone that wants to watch it while we talk about it, because again, I think it's worth watching. But if this is gonna be the episode, we ran a little over, but it was fun. So if you want to catch anything about the podcast, we tweet it out every day on Twitter at DiffAnimalsPod. We post it on Instagram at DiffAnimalsPod. And if you have any suggestions, topic suggestions, just want to communicate, interact, like any of it, I'm cool with. You know what I mean? Like you can send that to differentanimalspodcast@gmail.com. What's your social?
Yeah. And you guys can find me at evercastro92@gmail.com.
All right.
Oh, sorry. At just that's my email. But you can also find me on Instagram at evercastro92.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I could bleep out your email, but I feel like since your email is just your regular
That's
handle
fine.
at Gmail,
it's just like literally,
people would
it's
figure
just
it out
for like
anyways.
fucking.
Yeah.
It's just like coupons and just
And
like
spam
usual,
mail
like,
where you forgot to
regular
not
spam
signed
mail.
up for a newsletter.
My Duke Energy reminders that I need to use less energy this year. It's just my regular schmegular email.
All right. So, anyways, you can catch me at Team Moneybags on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes.
And I think that's everything.
Yes. 2 more homework assignments this week. Of course, one being watch Palm Springs.
Okay.
If you can. And then the other one is, I think we told you 2 weeks ago to tell 2 friends. I think last week it was tell a sibling or a family member. And I think this week I'll do tell a coworker about the podcast. Any episode, just tell them, hey, check it out. If they finish The Last of Us, show them that episode. If they watched Hamilton, show them this episode. Hopefully they'll like it. But yeah, those are your 2 homework assignments if you're a listener. Is watch Palm Springs if you can. And tell a coworker about us.
Now, I will say, if your coworkers are all like old fucking conservative white men and you're worried you're going to lose your job listening to this, like forcing them to listen to this, don't send it to them. But if you think there's anybody that's going to be in this fucking wheelhouse, absolutely, that'd be awesome if you could recommend it to a coworker. So that's the episode. Stay safe, stay entertained, and we'll catch y'all next week at 12.
See you guys. Take it easy.
Peace. So
yeah,
in honor of us talking about Kid Cudi, my Kanye lyric is gonna be, she let it go to her head. No, not my Aria. The height of her shopping was riders blocking me. I couldn't get my shit out anyway. I hope you die, Aria. Peace.
All right, hold on.